Can you believe it? The third Saturday in October, the rivalry game between Alabama and Tennessee is upon us. This is a huge game as both teams now have one loss each coming in to this game Saturday. And on this edition of the Stingray Show, we are going to be joined by none other than Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs, aka the former Big Red Machine Kane, to get his take on the game and what Alabama fans can expect if they are traveling up to the game. Guys, we've got a lot to break down about the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry game, so let's get the Stingray Show rocking and rolling.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Those of you on Tide 100.9, look out. You're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee.
You know, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate
that.
No,
I mean, look, no.
Hey, Stingray, here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good. It's kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, to everyone in Tuscaloosa listening here on Tide 100.9, with the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And ladies and gentlemen, with all of that, we want to welcome you inside another edition of the Stingray Show. And Heath, can you believe it, my friend? It is time for the third Saturday in October already, Alabama and Tennessee.
You know, Stephen, we talked about this on the show last week when, Bama lost, and then we turned around and we saw Tennessee lose. The very first thing that went through my mind when Tennessee lost there at Arkansas is that the third Saturday in October is now an elimination game for the college football playoff.
Yes.
And I think that makes it even more entertaining. Would I like to see two undefeated teams go at it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But now there's no wiggle room for either team. So this is going to be a fun game.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, let's not keep our guest waiting any longer as we've had to run the open, but he is joining us again. He is the mayor of Knox County, which surrounds Knoxville, Tennessee. He is formerly of the Big Red Machine Kane. He is now the mayor in Tennessee. Ladies and gentlemen, please help us welcome back to the Stingray Show, Mayor Glenn Jacobs, a.k.a. Kane. Kane, how are things going with you before the huge matchup on Saturday?
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Things are great. Our game against Florida Saturday was a lot more exciting than most of us wanted, but still They won. They won ugly. So it sets up this huge matchup. And as you all were just talking about, obviously we would have liked to see both teams come in undefeated, because I think that would have been, thus far, this would have been the game of the year in college football if that had happened. But nevertheless, now it's even more on the line, because this is probably, whoever loses does not go on to the college playoff, I'd say, right? So the winner of this is still alive, and it's almost like an elimination game this early in the season. So it should be very interesting.
So, Mayor Jacobs, briefly, I do want to get off of sports, and I want to ask you, did any of your area in Knox County have any damage from Hurricane Helene?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. In Knox County, we were fine. The extent of what we had to do was we had to close a couple two-lane country roads because of high water. Some people that had their RVs down by the river got flooded. which is unfortunate for them, obviously. And we might have had a couple houses that got water in it, but nothing catastrophic like we saw in Upper East Tennessee. Cocke County is about 50 miles east of us, and they got it pretty good. And then you move even further east up into Erwin, Tennessee, which is in Unicoi, Elizabethton, those areas. It's closer to East Tennessee State University. It's in Johnson City, but that area, they got devastated. A lot of what you saw in Western North Carolina, you also saw in Upper East Tennessee.
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs, I won't ask you to detail the numbers or ask you to even remember, but on a bad football season for Tennessee compared to a good football season, what are the tax difference like, the tax dollars during football season? Roughly, if you had to guess.
Yeah, that's a great question. They have I don't know round numbers, and it's kind of hard because it's not going to be something that we can really measure other than ticket sales. But the impact is, as you say, just kind of anecdotally and just looking at it, the impact is huge. If nothing else, I mean, the hotel motel business skyrockets when they're playing very well. A couple of years ago, when they were ranked first in the country, a friend of mine had some executives coming in from another part of the state, and they had tickets to the Kentucky-Tennessee game, and he's like, "Hey, can they get hotels downtown?" I'm like, "Well, no." Can you help them? No. And they finally found some rooms, and it was $600 a night with a 3-night minimum.
Wow.
In Knoxville, Tennessee, which is unheard of here. But then, yes, you look at the restaurants and just people being here and spending money. It's a big driver. It's also a big driver for, think about this, but I do some work with Children's Hospital, East Tennessee Children's Hospital. They rent their parking garage out for the football games. So obviously when there's more demand because the team's playing well, they make more money doing that than they do otherwise. So it's a big driver just all the way around economically for all of us here in East Tennessee.
So, Mayor Jacobs, I do want to ask you, and this is going back to your WWF days. A couple of weeks ago, we lost Pete Rose, a legend in baseball. Would you please talk about the legacy of Pete Rose and what he had on baseball and your interaction with him in wrestling?
I grew up a St. Louis baseball Cardinals fan, so I was not a big fan of Charlie Hustle when I was a kid. But seriously, one of the greatest players ever, the greatest hitter ever. And in my opinion, should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's sad that didn't happen before he passed away. I know that, a lot of controversy there, obviously, with the gambling and all that, but, not everyone in every sports Hall of Fame is a saint, and we need to realize that. And I think by not having him in the Baseball Hall of Fame, that's almost like not having Michael Jordan in the Basketball Hall of Fame, or not having I don't know, Tom Brady, or whoever's leading in passing yards. It's like not having them in the Football Hall of Fame. So sure, put an asterisk beside his name or whatever, but I definitely think that he should be there. He is in the WWE Hall of Fame, however. And if he hadn't been a great baseball player, he would have been a tremendous wrestling villain. I mean, he was just one of those people. I had the opportunity to work with him on a number of occasions. And he was one of those entertainers. He was self-deprecating. He could make fun of himself. He was just there really to make sure that the fans had a good time, that he had a good time. He didn't take himself seriously. A lot of times the celebrities that we deal with, are very, I have to look a certain way. Well, Pete was never like that. I was always like, hey, what do you want me to do? Okay, that sounds great. Maybe we can do this. That's even better. I just had a great time working with him. We did a deal at WrestleMania. I guess it was WrestleMania in Anaheim, WrestleMania 2000, I think it was billed at. And you guys remember this. He came out at the end of the match and tried him with the baseball bat, and all this stuff happened. When I got backstage, he had signed the bat and gave it to me, and I have it in my office. So that was pretty classy, pretty cool.
That is very cool. I was actually going to save this question to later in the show, but since Stephen already brought it up, I want to ask you, Mayor Jacobs, if you could put anybody in the Wrestling Hall of Fame that's not in there yet, who do you think is the most deserving, or someone that you would personally like to see get in?
Oh man, that's a great question. And I would have had to have done some research on that to see who's already in. I think WWE has done a pretty good job. I mean, Brothers of Destruction might be a tag team that should be in that's currently not in, but I'm a little biased in that regard. So I would seriously have to think about that and look at it. But you think about people like Hogan and Flair and Austin. Kind of my Mount Rushmore is already in. But yeah, I'm sure there's some folks that probably deserve it that aren't in, but I'd have to think about that more.
So, Mayor Jacobs, we are up against our first break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into Tennessee football and the matchup with Alabama. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back with Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs.
Attention, deer hunters and gardeners. Fall is here, and it's time to gear up with everything you need from the Tuscaloosa Farmers Co-op. We've got you covered with top quality feeds, deer plot products, deer attractants, shooting houses, and moultrie feeders. Whether you're in it for the trophy or the thrill, we have everything you need to bring home the big one this season. And for all you lawn and garden enthusiasts, boost your outdoor space with the power of high yield and Fertiloom products. From lush lawns to thriving veggie gardens, our lawn and garden solutions give you maximum results. Stop by today at 4301 McFarland Boulevard in Northport, or call 205-339-8181. Tuscaloosa Farmers Co-op, your partner for every season.
Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Our guest this evening is Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs, a.k.a. the Big Red Machine Kane. We're talking about the Alabama and Tennessee rivalry. And Mayor Jacobs, with Alabama fans making the trip to Knoxville this weekend, is there anything that they need to know about staying in Knoxville or the Knox County area?
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. The Gay Street Bridge is currently closed. The city's had some issues with that. So just be on the lookout for that. Most people coming to the game are actually not going to use that. But nevertheless, if you're going to get something to eat or whatever, especially in South Knoxville, you might use the bridge. So be aware that one is closed. You can still get there. You just have to use one of the other bridges. Okay. Otherwise, I mean, just come and have a good time. There's some of the best barbecue restaurants in the country, in my opinion. You have Dead End Barbecue, which is one of my personal favorites. Calhoun's is also awesome. Some great burger places, and we are hospitable even to Alabama fans, even the Roll Tide people. I wouldn't say that too loud, maybe though, but nevertheless, I just everybody come and have a good time.
Mayor Jacobs, I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, raised right outside of Memphis. I live now currently 8 miles south of Memphis. I am a barbecue snob. So when people tell me they got great barbecue, I kind of like, I don't know. So I know you've spent a lot of time in Memphis. Can you say it's safe to say that it's just as good as Memphis barbecue, or almost as good?
I think so. It's we're a little different over here. It also depends on where you go. Like I said, a Dead End Barbecue is that's kind of the restaurant of choice for Southeast Conference football teams, and they come through. Calhoun's has some of the best wings I've ever had. And they have a lot of other stuff too. But it just kind of depends on where you go. I get it. The first time I'd ever had vinegar-based slaw, I guess sour slaw, was when I came here. I grew up in the Midwest, and we had mayonnaise-based coleslaw. So the other day, I was actually up in Johnson City. I'd taken some stuff up to a church up there for the flooding victims, and got to stop by this restaurant called the Red Pig in Johnson City. It's just a little bitty place, maybe seats 50 people inside. But that was the first place I ever had sour slaw. And also there's another place here in Knoxville called Love That Barbecue. The guy's name is Walter Love. He's a friend of mine. And it's another one, man. It's a little bitty place, but man, it's got the best barbecue in the entire world. So yes, I would put it up there with Memphis barbecue. I'd put it up there with any barbecue around the world, actually.
So Mayor Jacobs, let's go to on the field now. Give us your thoughts on Tennessee through the first 7 weeks of the season as they sit here. Unfortunately, just like Alabama with one
Yeah.
loss.
Man, they start off the season like just gangbusters, and you're like, this is a top 5 team in the country. There's no doubt about it. But since like the second half of the Oklahoma game, their offense has just not been producing like it was before. We have one of the best defenses in the country. I mean, the defense is elite. It's really, 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 really strong, which is fortunate because they won the game against Florida. They were just able to do some things, never let Florida really get there are a couple long drives, but then they would stiffen up. Finally had some touchdowns scored against them. But when you're out there for 60% of the game, you get tired, and that's just what happens. They've got to figure it out. I've just been baffled by the offensive line play as well. We should have one of the stronger offensive lines in the SEC, but this is just me looking in from the outside. But, it really didn't look like we got a whole lot of penetration against Florida. There were times when, the Florida players are in the backfield. It looked like Dylan Sampson was virtually just doing it on his own. Nico was holding on to the ball, I think, a little bit too long on a couple of plays. I think he also has to make, and again, I am not a quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, but his passing decisions are really good, but I think sometimes he has to make a little bit better decision, like on the run pass option, as well as at some point, when you just, and he's a great scrambler. I mean, he gets positive yards. Sometimes look, if there's nothing happening downfield, you just got to go. And I think sometimes he does wait a little bit long. That's not fair for me to say because I'm not in that position. Unfortunately, against Florida, he had a couple plays where he scrambled, got first down, and they got called back because of penalties. And that's something else that needs to be tightened up. It's nothing like having 3rd and 12 and he gets a 15-yard gain and everybody's all yay, and then he gets called. Yeah. And then you get that and it gets called back. And that really takes the momentum out of the offense. And it looked like what happened against Florida is that first drive. I mean, it looked like the Tennessee of the first or second game of the season. It looked like when they were playing North Carolina State. And then there was some miscommunication between Nico and the running back fumble, and Florida got the ball. And then it was just like it just took the wind out of their sails. Yeah. And for almost the rest of the game, they didn't look like that again. So they have to be able to bounce back from plays like that. I think, Nico's only a freshman, so you can't. He's just going to keep on getting better and better and better. And maybe that's, they've also gotten away from a lot of things that Heupel has been known for, as far as quick slants and screens. And, the play calling has been a little conservative. As far as against Florida, it was run up the middle, pass. Everybody in the stadium knows what's about to happen, and that's not normally how Josh Heupel runs his offense, but also you don't know quite what's going on. So as someone coming in from the outside, it's just like the offensive line has got to play better. Just the offense in general has to play better. And the defense is going to keep you in the game, but against some of these powerhouses in the SEC, they're not going to be able to hold them forever. So at some point they're going to give up something. So your offense had better be able to answer back. And so far, we haven't shown the ability to do that, unfortunately. And this is Alabama. They're beatable, but it's still Alabama.
Yeah.
Mayor Glenn Jacobs is our guest right now, WWE Hall of Famer Kane. Mayor Jacobs, when you watch football, and I got a feeling you're a man after my own heart, I'm always watching the D line and the offensive line. Are you watching line play?
Yeah, of course. I'm an old offensive lineman, so
I figured as much.
Yeah, but that's also, that's just where literally everything starts. And one. Yeah, and it is one. It's really neat actually to watch our defensive line and some of the stunts that they were running, and freeing up James Pierce Jr. He has not had a great season thus far, but I think so much of that is just because everybody's keen on him. He's getting double teamed at every opportunity. So they were running studs, freed that up. Obviously, what happens there though is if you get caught with a draw or something like that, that stunt, no one's in position to stop the run at that point. But it is neat, and then also just offensive line and assignments, and picking up blitzers and all that sort of stuff, as well as watching these guys pull. And one of the most amazing things nowadays is just how big they are, but how fast and how quick they still are. It boggles my mind that someone that weighs 325 or 330 pounds can move like these young men move. It's very impressive.
We're heading to break, but tell us, who's your favorite offensive lineman that you enjoy watching, either played or playing now?
Oh, Anthony Munoz from Bengals.
Great.
He was the greatest tackle ever, in my opinion.
Nasty guy, yeah.
Yep.
So, Mayor Jacobs, we are up against another break, and when we come back, we are going to get your prediction of how you think this Saturday night is going to go in Neyland Stadium between Alabama and Tennessee. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back. Your life can change on a dime, and if you are relocating for your job up to the Rocket City of Huntsville, the fastest growing city in the state of Alabama, you need to contact Celeste Hagler of First Class Real Estate South Home Group. She has brokers all over North Alabama to help you get settled with buying a new home in North Alabama. You can contact her at 205-861-5698. Once again, that is Celeste Hagler, 205-861-5698. Contact Celeste Hagler today to live where you love in the state of Alabama, even in the Rocket City of Huntsville. Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Our guest this evening is Glenn Jacobs, Mayor Glenn Jacobs, I should say, a.k.a. Kane of WWE. And Kane, I do have to ask you, when you were with the WWF and the WWE and you were traveling around the world, who were some coaches, and especially in college football, that you got to meet, if any?
I got to meet Steve Spurrier years ago. I got to go over and actually recently I went over and spoke to the Memphis football team, University of Memphis. Their coach is Ryan Silverfield, does a great job. Coach Silverfield's a huge wrestling fan, actually. When he was much younger, he dabbled a little bit in professional wrestling himself. Of course, I've gotten to meet Coach Fulmer here, and he's a legend. Just offhand, other players and coaches. I met Urban Meyer once, just kind of in passing, which was pretty cool. And by and large, everybody's always gracious and very nice. And it's just kind of cool. I talk to those people. People always say, "I watch you growing up on TV." Well, I get to talk to these people that are playing on Saturday or Sunday. It's pretty dadgum cool, if I do say so myself. Yeah.
Right.
We have had Steve, hang on.
Okay. You're fine, man.
Sorry. We've had probably 5 or 6 dozen stories about Steve Spurrier on the show that people have told. And probably 3/4 of those have happened on a golf course. Is there a funny story that you could share about Steve Spurrier? And does it start and end on a golf course?
No, I actually just met him backstage once. He was at, we had a show at Colonial Life Arena on the campus of the University of South Carolina when he was coach there. So I just got to meet him for a second. It's interesting because he is from Johnson City, Tennessee. Right. The field at Mars Hill High School there is named after him. And he was always one of those guys, I think, that we hated him, but secretly we wanted him to coach for us. And that was part of the reason that you hated him. And then, of course, when he's, he was Lane Kiffin before Lane Kiffin as far as the one-liners. And
right.
I never, when he would say, well, you can't spell citrus without UT, or, I'm glad Peyton's coming back this year for his final year. He can be like the 3-time MVP of the Citrus Bowl. It's like, oh, come on, man. So he had the WWE smack talking down to a T for sure. So
Mayor Jacobs, how are you spending this weekend going back to the third Saturday in October? How are you spending it? Are you attending the game at Neyland Stadium?
Oh, yeah, I am attending the game. I'll be tailgating beforehand. I kind of move around between the different tailgates and say hello to people. And then a friend of mine has his tailgates right next to the stadium, so I'll kind of end up being there for a couple hours. But it'll be a lot of fun. The last time, I guess it was the last time that Alabama played at Tennessee, potentially the greatest college football game ever. Just a duel that came down to the final plays and, tore down the goalposts and literally paraded them out of the stadium. And it was just unbelievable spectacle. It'd be pretty cool if it were like that again this year with Tennessee coming out on top, obviously.
Yes. So, Mayor Jacobs, how do you see the game Saturday night playing out between Alabama and Tennessee this year?
So I'm going to make a prediction. It's going to be, I'm going to say it's going to be 21-18.
Okay.
Or maybe, it's not going to be a high scoring game. So I think the Tennessee defense will dictate that. Maybe 24-21.
Okay.
I don't see either team scoring a lot of touchdowns. So we'll see what happens there. Now, special teams will play a big role in it. Turnovers will obviously play a big role in it. I think if Tennessee's offense gets off to a good start and gets some confidence, they're going to be hard to beat. But if they play like they have been the past couple games, the defense is really going to have to once again step up and dominate the game.
Mayor, fun question. What do you usually wear to a tailgate in a football game? Are you decked out in orange? You got your Tennessee polo, or are you wearing the orange overalls? I mean, do you go all out, or you keep it business casual?
Yeah,
what do you mean by tailgating?
Yeah, I generally have a polo and jeans is what I wear. I do not have a pair of checkerboard overalls. I need to acquire those, or I could get the Pantone 151 sports coat as well. I have some Tennessee stuff, but I actually need to up my wardrobe in that regard.
And so what are we going to be eating on at tailgate?
Oh, man, just whatever's there. But, some people still have a little bit of breakfast left. So you have biscuits and bacon and eggs and all that good stuff, waffles and chicken. Then we'll move into barbecue, chicken wings, and nachos and all that sort of stuff. One of the coolest things, though, about like my job when I'm there is I get to go to all the different tailgates, and sometimes I get to sample all the different food, and all of it's really good.
That's awesome.
There you go. We had DDP on the show, and he went to an Auburn game, and he said I was red hot at the time. And he said I put the diamond cutter on Albie, the mascot, at an Auburn game, and the place just blew up. Huge pop. Has Tennessee ever asked you to go out there and do a tombstone on a mascot or anything?
No, the coolest thing I've gotten to do was I got to do the hype video before the game that they play on the Jumbotron right before kickoff. So that was pretty cool. But as I said, man, these kids nowadays, man, they're so big. I would say the mascot's even bigger and stronger than I am, because when I look at the players, my good Lord, these guys are just, they're freakish athletes at this point. But it is pretty cool because, like, at the tailgate, I've met like a couple of the players' families, right? And they're always, hey, my son's a huge fan, and to get a picture with me and everything, I think that's the coolest thing ever.
There you go.
Yeah. Mayor Jacobs, what game did you do the hype video for?
Well, that's the thing. That's why I didn't mention the actual game.
Okay.
It was the Georgia State game a few years ago, first game of the season, where we got upset, and it was one of the worst games ever played at Neyland Stadium. So it was awesome because it's a bucket list thing, right? I'm on the Jumbotron at Neyland Stadium. And by about the third quarter, I'm telling everybody, look, there I am. About the third quarter, I'm like, they're never going to let me in here again after they play like this. So
I don't think
they actually, maybe that's why they've never asked me to do anything else.
Right. I don't think Vanderbilt could beat Tennessee, but they ask you for that game just to stay safe. Say no, because if you do it twice, and you happen to lose.
No, man, no, yeah. Well, it's also things are a little different now. I don't think that stuff is going to happen under Josh Heupel, at least not like it did in the past. I moved here in 1997. They won a national championship in 1998. I came from Missouri, where poor Mizzou is in, they're in the Big Eight. This is back in the 80s, 70s, 80s. So every year they're running into Nebraska or Oklahoma, who's going on to become national champions. So then you come here and it's just, SEC football is just a different experience. The pageantry, the tradition, the pride of the Southland band, and how awesome that is before the game. And then just the competition is just amazing, and we have the Fall Navy and the tailgating and all these sort of things. So it's the games are awesome, but just the entire atmosphere that goes along with that. If you've never experienced it, you really should, because it is really something special.
Yes. So Mayor Jacobs, if you would, before we let you go, please do one of your WWE promos on how you think the game is going to go this weekend for the Tennessee Volunteers.
Oh gosh. Well, I tell you what's going to happen is Alabama's going to get buried, because the offense is going to come out and the offense is going to be gangbusters. The defense is going to be amazing. And if I were the Undertaker, I would say that Alabama's going to rest in peace.
That's great. Mayor Jacobs, I got a fun question for you. Who are your three favorite Tennessee Vol football players, not named Peyton Manning? Of all time?
Gosh. I got to meet Al Wilson actually at the tailgate this weekend. Obviously, just a great linebacker, just tremendous player. Joshua Dobbs. Josh is, the thing about him is he is not only a great quarterback, he got like a 4.0 in aerospace engineering or something like that.
Super smart kid.
Yeah. You sometimes say he's got great football intelligence. Well, Josh is just level above everybody else, and a really, really good kid as well. And then this is not fair. I know some of these guys. Well, Trey Smith, who beat me in a wing eating contest. It's the only time I've ever lost. But there was a lot of controversy. I actually won. The referee didn't see my hand raised. But nevertheless, if you're going to lose, you may as well lose to a two-time Super Bowl champion. And then Heath Schuler. I know Heath, obviously a great quarterback at Tennessee, right up there in the Peyton Manning league. And then just so many others when Juwan Jennings was here and all the heart that he brought to the team. And hopefully before it's all said and done, we'll be talking about Nico like we do Peyton.
Yes. So Mayor Jacobs, look, I really do want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us. If you would, any final thoughts? The floor is yours for what's going to happen this Saturday night in Neyland Stadium.
Well, I think the Vols will come away with the win. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. I think that they're going to need some breaks. But the really most important thing is that everybody is safe after the game, and everybody comes out and just has a great time. I mean, there's nothing like over 102,000 people at Neyland Stadium. And again, the tickets for this one obviously going to be hard to come by. But if you have the opportunity to come to the game, definitely check it out. Watch it on TV as well. And the environment is just, it's just fabulous. So it's a lot of fun.
So Mayor Jacobs, I can see right there that you've got duty calling.
Yeah.
We will let you go. Thank you so much once again. And go Vols. Good luck to you guys this weekend.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Take care.
Thanks.
All right, so Heath, that is going to wrap up the Tennessee side of this matchup with Mayor Glenn Jacobs. We really do want to thank him. And Heath, on the other side of the break, we've got one more segment to do, and our good friend Joe Gaither from Bama Central will join us to do a deep dive onto this game from the Alabama perspective. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will finish it up talking about Alabama football with Joe Gaither right after this.
Feel sorry for Joe. Got to follow Kane.
Residents of Tuscaloosa, are you guys upsizing, downsizing, looking for college housing, or even relocating for your job right here to Tuscaloosa. If that's the case, then you need to contact Celeste Hagler, owner and operator of First Class Real Estate South Home Group, right here in Tuscaloosa. She can help you with the buying, selling, and investment needs throughout the state of Alabama. You can contact Celeste at 205-861-5698. Reach out to Celeste again at 205-861-5698 and schedule a consultation to discuss your real estate goals and to live where you love in the state of Alabama.
Turn it up.
Welcome back inside the Stingray Show on this Wednesday evening, and we are about to bring on our second guest of the evening, and that, of course, is none other than Joe Gaither of Bama Central to break down the Alabama and Tennessee matchup that happens this Saturday afternoon. Joe, how are things going with you on this Wednesday evening?
Oh man, we're doing so good, Stingray. We're getting basketball kicked off. We had SEC Media Days kicked to start yesterday, but we are in the middle of football season, and it's about to be the third Saturday in October. So we are very excited. I'm very thankful that you're having me.
So, Joe, I do want to ask you because there is a very scary trend that's going on for this Alabama defense. They got exposed in the second half against Georgia. It carried over to the Vanderbilt game. And now it even carried over into the South Carolina matchup. In your opinion, what is going wrong on the defensive side of the ball for this Alabama football team?
I think this Alabama defense is in the middle of really, I think people don't quite understand how much it takes to learn a new defense and how much to implement a defense, particularly with the changes in the practice times over the years where the live action hasn't been as much. And so you're seeing over the last couple of weeks, live action being thrown at this new defense, this new scheme, and it's stretching the Alabama defense. It's stretching it in ways that it hasn't been tested in certain before. The guys don't have reps that where they can rely on, where they can say, oh, the last time this happened, I did this, X, Y, Z. And so there's some newness going on. Now there's also some tackling, some problems tackling and bringing down the ball carrier. I think that's one of the easiest things. One of the easiest ways that Alabama can get better is to just be more proficient tackling at the point of contact. But right now, I think you're seeing some of these schemes. Last week, the 4th and 9 touchdown that goes over Malachi Moore and Zay Mincy's head. Well, it wasn't Zay Mincy's fault. Malachi Moore gets lost in coverage, covering the wrong guy. He's covering a guy that he probably would have been covering in last year's Nick Saban defense, but the scheme is different, and so I think you're seeing some of these errors shine through, and that's what's causing these closer games and allowing some of these teams to test and stay with Alabama right now.
Okay, so Saturday afternoon, Alabama struggling defense like we just talked about, going up against an offense in Nico that is also struggling because they have not been able to move the ball against Arkansas or against Florida. And for the first time under Josh Heupel in 2 games, they have been shut out in the first half. What do you think is going to happen of the Tennessee offense going up against that Bama defense Saturday afternoon?
I think they're going to find themselves a little bit because they'll get back to the basics, and some of these basics will be challenging for Alabama in this sense. They're going to spread Alabama out wide, obviously, with their 2-by-2 formations, sideline to sideline. And so the secondary is going to be spread out. You're going to have, the Alabama fans have been complaining about a light box. Well, you're going to have a light box on Saturday against Tennessee. It's going to be basically the Tennessee 5 offensive linemen, Dylan Sampson and Nico Iamaleava in the backfield, and it's going to be on basically the four up front and Deontay Lawson to stop Dylan Sampson, because I think that's where they're going to start. They're going to just let Dylan Sampson try to get after and win one-on-ones and out physical you up front, getting you into third and manageable situations. This past week against South Carolina, Alabama was really, really good in 3rd and 7 or longer. Defensively was really, really bad in 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 or shorter. So, like, it's simple as that. You get them in the 3rd and long, you're going to get off the field. Everybody's complaining about getting off the field. You got to get them in the 3rd and long, and that starts by stopping the first down run by Dylan Sampson, the inside zone that gets you 4 yards. They get yards you up at 2nd and 5 and allows Josh Heupel to do whatever he wants in the playbook. So it starts with stopping Dylan Sampson, and I think it's going to be really tough for Alabama. I think they can do it. Absolutely. They're talented players, but I think it is going to be very, very tough. We've seen just difficulty when it's been trying to get 3, 4, 5 yards. And I think that's all Tennessee's going to really want on first down is to set up these shorter, stay ahead of the schedule, keep Jalen Milroe and Ryan Williams off the field. I think that it's going to be a hard recipe to stop on Saturday.
So, Joe, when you look at the other side of the football for Alabama, Jalen Milroe has had some issues protecting the football since the Georgia game. He had a major pick 6 against Vanderbilt. He had a sack strip against Vanderbilt. And then last week, he had some interception issues. What do you think is going wrong on the offensive side of the ball with Milroe?
Well, okay, so the interception, I think he was just a little bit late last week or 2 weeks ago for Vanderbilt. I think he's a little bit late getting to Ryan Williams. But you can also make an argument that the Vanderbilt defender kind of comes through Ryan Williams, and Ryan's got to come back to that football. So there's kind of shared blame there. Then you get the sack fumble in the second half, and that really was the drive that probably would have put Alabama over the top to get them that comeback win. So painful. But really, you look at it, Elijah Pritchett just gets beat like a dog on that play, and he's right in on Jalen Milroe. Can you protect the football better on the sack? Yeah, you can. But it's just that it came out of nowhere so fast. This past week, you throw, what did you get? A couple interceptions in South Carolina, right?
Yes.
So it's just carelessness with the football.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a couple tip balls, just carelessness in general. I think that really Alabama offensively has struggled due to the fact that they cannot find a traditional run game with Jam Miller and Jam Miller and Justice Haynes. You got those two guys in the backfield, and I love them, but you really aren't getting any sort of push in the run game consistently. Sometimes you get them to rip off a good run or two, but you're not getting any sort of consistent push in the run game. All the run has been pin and pull, get you to the outside and catch an angle, and sometimes that's with Jam and Justice, but mostly it's with Jalen. I think that's the biggest reason why Alabama's offense has struggled to find consistency, because Jalen's been a good passer, but right now it's kind of all on Jalen. And so due to that, you're going to have a little more propensity for turnovers.
So, Joe, Alabama goes back to Knoxville. They are returning since the last time they were there when they got knocked off. Now Alabama comes in with a new staff, and like we've talked about, a struggling Alabama defense going up against a struggling Tennessee offense. Joe, how do you see this edition of the third Saturday in October playing out in Knoxville?
Steven, have you ever been in Neyland Stadium?
No.
Oh my, it's hell.
I have.
Okay.
Multiple times, yeah.
It is, and 2 years ago was the pit of hell, and it will be on Saturday again. And I really wonder, oh gosh, I hate saying this, but I really wonder how Kayla DeBoer is going to handle it. I really wonder how that staff is going to handle it. Now, I don't think the noise particularly is going to be what bothers them, but just the energy in the air of just every play is going to be intense. Every play is going to matter. I think Alabama's going to struggle. I said it in preseason that Alabama would lose this game, and with the trend of the season, like why would you go differently? I think it will be close, but just you're going to have that home field advantage. I probably put you at about 27-24, 27-26, like a real close game that Tennessee just breaks the Alabama's heart, and it'll make a tough Sunday waking up. But I think that I just have a bad feeling about this weekend for the Crimson Tide.
So, Joe, look, as always, thank you for joining us. Enjoy covering the Tennessee versus Alabama football game. Are you making the trip to Neyland?
No, I was rotated off this week, and honestly, Stephen, I would rather have it that way.
Yes. Well, enjoy staying here in Tuscaloosa, my friend, and we will definitely catch up with you later on this season. And good luck to the Crimson Tide this weekend. Hopefully, they can change expectations and win on the road in Knoxville.
Y'all have a great week, guys. Thank y'all so much.
All right.
Good,
thank
Joe.
you, bud.
Joe Gaither, Bama Central, joining us just then. Stephen, I always like it when Joe comes. Always brings fun energy.
He does. All right, so Heath, that is going to wrap up another edition of the Stingray Show. When we come back on the Thursday evening of the Stingray Show, we are going to be joined by another WWE Hall of Famer, and this time it is going to be John Bradshaw Layfield, aka JBL, to give us his take on the Texas and Georgia matchup that is in Austin, Texas. That is on the Thursday evening edition of the Stingray Show. Guys, we are done. Catch you tomorrow evening. Dude, 2 WWE legends back to back. How about that?
Yeah, I didn't think about that. 2 Hall of Famers, too.
Yes, Kane tonight, JBL tomorrow night. We will see you then.